French, and she is the program coordinator for JobLink, which is the name of the organization that manages the funding and helps with workforce development here in Sonoma County. And we have Samantha Rosewald, and she is our employment and training counselor at JobLink. So I want to welcome them here today, and they're going to share with us what WIOA funding is and how the WIOA funding can be used for being able to take the certificates here that we offer at Sonoma State at Extended Ed, those and which programs are actually applicable to the funding. So what we want to make sure we do is that if you have questions while we go through the presentation, please feel free to throw them into chat or Q&A so that we can answer them as we move along during the presentation and not have to wait for the end. Okay, well, thank you so much. And I'll hand it over to Nadia.
Good morning, everyone. As Megan stated, my name is Nadia. I'm a program coordinator here at Sonoma County JobLink. And we're here to talk about how we can support you through your trainings. It's with specific trainings at Sonoma State. So I'm going to share my my screen so we can do the PowerPoint. Okay? Bear with me just a second. All right. So we do work in collaboration with a few organizations, and today we're talking about the way we work with Sonoma State. Before we get started, I do want to state that, I'm having a little bit of problems with my voice, so Sam might pitch in every now and again to help support if there's things that I miss or if I have trouble with my voice today. So bear with us. All right, so today we're going to be talking about what WIOA is, and Megan gave us a brief overview of what that stands for, and we'll go over that in a little bit more detail. We will talk about the overview of the services that we offer here at JobLink, the requirements that are needed in order to establish eligibility to participate and receive JobLink services. We're also going to be talking about the process that it takes to apply for the WIOA scholarship. That is one of the benefits to working with Sonoma County JobLink. And then, as many of you probably already know, we will be talking also about the Sonoma State programs that are currently on our list that we can work with. And then finally, we'll talk about the expectations that is required in order to continue receiving the support that we offer. And please feel free to, like Megan said, ask questions. We'll try to get to those throughout the presentation so they don't build up at the very end. And so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with the information. So WIOA is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. It is a federally funded program. There's monies that are coming from the Fed, as Megan stated. It is part of a nationwide network of career centers. They're called one-stops or AJCCs. Depending on where you reside, there should be a local one-stop center that also provides similar support and definitely WIOA federal funds. So if you're not within Sonoma County, there are other agencies throughout the state that you can obtain the same services from. We do partner with agencies that help job seekers that are over the age of 18, and we do have some opportunities for those youth. We have a program with for our under 18-year-olds too. So some of the things that we provide through this funding source is job search and career planning assistance. We offer opportunities for job seekers to connect with employers local or beyond. We also offer assistance with scholarship for funding for trainings that are available. And these trainings are careers that are in high demand occupations throughout the county. So JobLink services, we do have, as I mentioned, youth services, and those are for participants that are between the ages of 16 to 24. We also offer assistance with employment services, getting job ready, doing resume creating, job searching, maybe connect. We have a weekly electronic newsletter that goes out that talks about different job opportunities throughout the county. And that's all part of our employment services. We also offer workshops to help prepare, like if somebody needs to do a resume and wants to know the ins and outs on how to do that, we do have that. We have how to jumpstart your job search and look for different jobs and how to go about that and navigate the different ways about it, right? So it could be either online or in person or listings and how to get that started. We do, I think what everybody's here for is the training scholarships. So we do collaborate with the different, as I said, programs that offers in-demand, training for in-demand occupations. And some of those trainings we have on our list. It's our eligible training provider list, or we call it the ETPL here. If they are on the list, we can more than likely support with a scholarship for those programs. And last but not least, our AJCC here at JobLink, we do have a resource center, and in that resource center, we have our computer lab that's available to everyone to utilize for job search purposes or resume creating or workshops, anything that's going to help elevate you to the next step in your job goal and career goal. And also in that resource center, we have a navigator that helps anybody who walks through the door answer questions and maybe guide them on what the next steps are and how to better utilize our services. And our job board. We have a job board that talks about all the listings of jobs that we have currently available that have come through our doors from local employers. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about, well, before I move on here, are there any questions about the general overview of what we do here at JobLink? I'm happy to answer those. Okay. All right, so we'll talk about the eligibility requirements that are needed in order to start working and receiving JobLink services. First and foremost, the most important, I think, is the right to work documentation. We need to verify that you do have the ability to work here in the United States. It would be considered any document that you would provide to an employer, like I-9 documents. So listed on the right, you'll see under number 1, it's the list of those documents that are applicable or are eligible for the right to work verifications. So if you have any questions, I mean, there are the passports, birth certificates, driver's license, ID card, alien registration card, social security card. Sorry about that. So, and if you do not have this right to work documentation, you can talk to the counselor about the options and what other things that we can do to help with obtaining those documentations, or if you lost your social security card, how we can get a new one. Those kind of questions can absolutely be addressed with your counselor when you make your appointment. You must be 18 years of age or older. There's a requirement to receive adult JobLink services, and if applicable, any male applicant born on or after January 1st, 1960 must be registered for selective services unless there's an exception and it's justified. So those are just the basics, the additional documentation that may be needed if applicable to your situation. Household income for the past 6 months. If you're currently receiving any kind of public assistance like TANF or temporary assistance for needy families, HealthFresh benefits or Social Security income, or supplemental Social Security income, sorry. You let us know and we can, that would be part of the additional requirements that you would provide. We also need to know how many people are in your family and the family size in terms of who you're responsible for. If you've been laid off recently, if you have a disability, if you're currently experiencing housing insecurities or homelessness, and or if you're a veteran, we would need your DD 214. All right. Once all of that is said and done and established, and you've been, you're going forward with the eligibility, everything's been approved, then we talk about how to apply for the WIOA scholarship working with your counselors. So the very first step is you must be registered with CalJobs. And at this point in the time frame, you should have already been registered with CalJobs. But in case you weren't, you would work with your counselor, would get this registration part taken care of. If you have not already registered and you're interested, the website for signing up for CalJobs is listed there. And it's a pretty straightforward registration. You'd just be creating similar to a profile. The second step to the process is you would register or set up an appointment to come to the one-stop center and do an orientation where they'll talk a lot about the same stuff we're talking here, but in a little bit more detail and more specific to the job link services and how we can support you. Those orientations are held on Thursdays. Our English orientation is at 1 o'clock, and our Spanish orientations are at 11. So please, if you either come into our office or give us a call so you can schedule that orientation after that first step of registering with CalJobs. And then finally, before you leave your orientation, if you're interested in moving forward with job link services, you will be signed up with an appointment to meet with a counselor. So some of the things that some of the processes that take place while we, explore whether the scholarship is going to be something that you want to move forward with is there are things that we do to really kind of ensure that this is going to be a good fit for you and that you're going to want to follow through with the application process and the training. So we do a little bit of career exploration, some self-reflection. We do some research with you and really look into the career. Is it a good fit? Is this really something that you're interested in doing long-term? How does this look for you? And then last but not least, we really explore and talk about committing to the plan so that we can move forward with the scholarship process. It is a little bit of a process, and you would have to do a little bit of legwork to get to do the application process. So, I think that having a commitment to the plan is going to be a good thing to do before you move forward. So a little bit about the career exploration and self-reflection. So the things that we do is we have you assess by utilizing some assessments, whether your personality is going to fit this particular job or career that you're considering, or maybe it helps you realize this is the career that's the best for you. It's a really good match. We learn about what skills it takes to do the career. It matches you with it's easier. It helps us match you with jobs that might be suitable within that field. Um, so some of those tools that we use are the MBTI, which is the Myers-Briggs self-assessment, and strong inventory, self-directed searches. And these are all, you would get these once you start working with your counselor and you're going to move forward with, exploring whether this is going to be what you want to do. And then, so then there's, go ahead, Megan, sorry.
Yeah, so just I don't want to slow you down here a little bit, but we do have some questions in the room. Do you want
Okay.
to? Yeah.
This,
Um, One question is, I am currently waiting for my WP or GC process. What docs do I need to be a part of this program? I have a social security.
okay. Um, it's very specific. So do you have a California valid driver's license or a California ID yet, or no? Because those would be something that you could utilize. If you have documentation from, let's say, immigration services that states that you have the authorization to work, and or you're just waiting on a card, that's something that could be provided as well. So we would definitely take a look and explore the different options that might be available to you.
The next question is, and this goes back to the ID page. I apologize. Does a tribal ID count as a form of identification?
Let me go back to that page. One second.
Sorry.
This one, yeah. Um, I I believe it does. I believe it does. And I can confirm and then let you know. You can always reach out to us and we can give you confirmation, or we can confirm with you, Megan, and then we can pass that along. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it does. Do you by any chance know, Sam, if a travel ID works?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to look into that.
Okay. So we'll get back to you with a good answer for that question.
And then, as a full-time student, am I eligible for scholarships? I am not currently looking for a full-time job.
Yes. So if we know that you're not in, we know that right now because you're in a training, or you're not necessarily looking for a full-time job while you're in, which is while you're training, right? So, and so that's up to you. What we're looking to do is to help get you to that point where you're ready, right? When you're ready. And so if this is the step that helps you get there, once you're completed with your training and then you're off and running, that's where we're looking, right? That's what we're hoping to do, is to help you get through that process. So yes, you would be eligible to apply for the scholarship to see if you could, be approved.
Right. And depending on, because the person is a full-time student, whether you're in that age bracket, right?
Mhm.
Um, or you're a college student, like this, taking a certificate, one of these certificate programs, regardless of if you're in school, just gives you that extra leg up to have something on your resume that basically says you are certified, meaning that you have taken either kind of like a fundamentals step or process into understanding what this role, what being maybe someone in the nonprofit industry is, getting into HR, construction management, etc. But it gives the employer this visibility that you are extra qualified almost because you have this industry knowledge about what that particular topic is about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, okay. Uh, Another question, approximately what is the average scholarship amount?
So the baseline is $5,000 for the scholarship. Um, And there may be a little bit of room to explore if there's additional support through other programs, that were grants that we're working with. So the WIOA portion would potentially be just $5,000,
Okay.
but we have room to explore other options too.
Yeah. And the scholarships are currently, the question is, Nadia, are the scholarships needs based?
In terms of financial, I guess so
Right.
needs-based, yes. Okay, so at this very moment, no. It's more of the research, the skills based. If you need to obtain skills um, to um, to get to your career goal, to achieve your career goal. At this point, we don't. I'm going to say that it's not needs based.
Okay. We want to keep going.
Okay.
Last question.
Is there? Oh, that was the last one. Okay, so here's where we are. So the other thing that we explore and look at are what are some of the challenges or barriers that might come up during your training, right? So as we mentioned, yes, there's that portion of the scholarship that helps with your training, but the scholarship can also be utilized depending on some of those challenges or what we call barriers that come up. So sometimes childcare is an issue, sometimes housing is an issue, finances and transportation. So we look at all of those things to see how we can better support you through your training program throughout this process. Just bear with me just 1 second here. I'm having, okay. All right, so career research. Part of the scholarship process is looking into the career that your career goal and the training and skills that you're trying to obtain. So we do some research on whether the career is in demand, and especially within here in Sonoma County. What the qualifications are, what the skills are that you're going to need to be able to do the career. So just a lot of like fact checking and researching, finding out, what the labor market looks like for this specific career that your goal is headed towards. We do ask as part of this research that we do some informational interviews so that you go out into the field and see what from people that are already in the industry, you would connect with them, ask them some questions to kind of get a feel for what it takes for them to do the job, and potentially connect as a networking opportunity. And so we ask that you do some of those kind of networking and interview part to have a better understanding. We also need to see that there's actual demand for the job, as we mentioned. So you'll be doing some research for job listings to see if there's posts that say, hey, that's a certificate that's required or needed or preferred, so that we see that there is at least a few job postings that are in that career. And then we, of course, have to verify that the career that you're looking to go into is in high demand in Sonoma County, as we mentioned. Yes.
Yes, there's a question. If you have already been working in the industry for a while, can you still qualify for assistance?
Yes. So a lot of what we do is case by case review, and we determine how to support the individual based on their experience and their knowledge. So yes, you can absolutely still potentially qualify for the scholarship even though you've been in the industry. we would maybe change the requirements a little bit because you already have the experience, you've already had, you have created those networking opportunities, you're already working in that industry. So do we necessarily need some of those things that we would ask somebody who's brand new to the industry and is really trying to explore whether this is the right fit for them? Was there another one, Megan?
And we're good.
Okay. So committing to a plan, the commitment to the plan is what we do with the counselors. We develop an educational and financial plan on how, if if our scholarship doesn't cover the entire cost of your training or the support that you need in order to, overcome some of those barriers or help you work through some of those barriers to successfully complete your training, we have to set up some kind of a plan. Like, this is how I plan to do this, and oh, well, I'm working while I'm going to school, or I'm receiving Pell Grants that help me in other areas, that kind of stuff. So we do some of that research to come up with an educational and financial plan with you. So as it says, like, if your research indicates that you're a good candidate for the training, we'll move forward and researching the training and address financial needs to complete your training. And this helps in that step of creating that plan. As mentioned before, the training does have to be on our eligible training providers list, or the ETPL. And then we have to establish whether there are prerequisites that need to be completed before that training you can start in that specific training that you're signing up for. So as I mentioned before, there's all these other programs that you may be able to utilize and work with in conjunction with the WIOA scholarship at the same time. So, and all these plans will be created with the counselor once you start the scholarship process. All right, so if you're not familiar with programs that currently are provided through Sonoma State that are actually on our ETPL at this moment, here's a list of them. We do have professional development certificates in construction management, human resource management, the nonprofit management, project management, wine business management, wine industry finance, and accounting certificate, as well as sustainable skills certificate. And in the continuing education program, there's been this business administration bachelor's degree, multiple subject credential program, and pre and post licensure for the nursing. And if there's additional questions to more specifics about each individual program, I'm going to leave that to the expert, Megan, who would better be able to answer those questions and give more specific details about these particular programs.
Yeah, so these are currently the certificate programs that are qualified under the WIOA funding. We run these programs pretty much every semester. They are online, majority of them are online courses on a hybrid model, which basically it's live with instructor and with discussion groups and working with a cohort online. You meet about once a week, 3 hours in the evenings. The one caveat is that the construction management certificate's a little bit different. We actually do in-person meetings for that here on campus at Sonoma State University. And now this semester, we're actually offering it in a high flex, which means that you can be online or in classroom. The sustainable skills certificate, it's a little bit of a more unknown certificate, but if you are just getting into the workforce, just understanding what it's like to be in a professional environment, how to have difficult conversations, things of that nature, that is what the sustainable skills certificate offers. We also offer continuing, and these are all non-credit courses. And then we also offer in the WIOA funding program is this continuing education program. So these are all credit-based programs. So in the event that you wanted to, let's say you have your associate's degree, or you have enough transferable units, you can do a degree completion program with us. And the funding is applicable to, that tuition. We do have a multiple subject credential program for if you wanted to become an elementary school teacher. We also have a pre and post licensure for our nursing program. So if you are, let's say, going to the junior college right now and getting all of your um, units to move into our nursing program here at Sonoma State University, which is an amazing program, you would take this bridge program, which is this pre-licensure and post-licensure that you take during the summertime. And the funding pays for this bridge piece of coming into Sonoma State University's nursing program. Uh, and so it allows for you to kind of bridge that gap of extra units to basically come into the nursing program. Some of you might not be aware, but obviously we have a big wine community here in Sonoma County. Because JobLink is whether you're from Marin or whether you're from Southern California, wherever, you can apply for WIOA funding. And obviously the wine industry is very expansive here in California and especially Sonoma County. So we do offer wine business management certificate. 50% of the people that come through that program are non-wine people. They've never actually been in the industry before. They take the foundations class and they just really to kind of understand and get into the industry. It is a good entry certificate. So that if you wanted to become, an associate in a wine tasting room or a hospitality manager or something of that nature, that certificate is what gets you into that market. If you like, if you're into accounting or finance and you want to get into a new industry like wine, you can get into that industry. The Human Resource Management Certificate, that is a very broad, fabulous course by Craig Nathanson about HR. We also offer the Advanced HR, and we also have a Humanistics Leadership program that falls in line with the Human Resource Management Certificate. The Nonprofit Management Certificate is a very good course to get into the industry to understand, like, how does a nonprofit function? What are the nuts and bolts from A to Z? And then the construction management, that is actually a longer cycle. It does take, another caveat about that is that you have to take 6 of the courses. I believe it's 6 courses to actually get the certificate. So it will take you a couple semesters to get that certificate, but these are, industry professionals, that have been in the industry here in Sonoma County for a very long time. Midstate Construction, Galati, Wright Contracting, etc. These are the industry folks that are your instructors that come into the room and really give you real world experiences and an education in regards to the program. So that's just my little elevator pitch on the certificate programs. Let's see. Someone asked how many courses are required for the finance and accounting certificate. I think it's up to maybe 3 to 6, but don't quote me on that. And I'm going to take your name down, and then I will email you the link directly to that program. And so I will get back to you on that question. Yes, there are resources that provides more details about the professional development certificates. We have our website is very extensive with the details. We can also provide you with the syllabuses for each of the course certificates. So that's all that gives you like when the courses are going to run, what's the topics of each of the courses, if there's any type of reading requirement. Most of these courses are just a pass course. You generally aren't required to take an exam. You're not required to take testing on a weekly basis. Uh, you are really learning from instructors that are very knowledge based from the industry. Um, I believe the HR class, the HR certificate does require readings from an HR book, which is always a good to have. Um, it does kind of get you ready for the SHRM testing, but that's really the only course that is requires any type of reading material or testing throughout the course or touch points. Um, uh, there's another question in here, Nadia, that one of the individuals that they're pursuing a BA in business administration. Are they still eligible for continuing education program scholarship?
They're actively in the program. We can definitely see how far along you are in the program. And if you're close to finishing your BA, close to the last, at least in the last, within the last 2 years of completion, we can absolutely explore and do the application for the scholarship.
Okay. Yeah, and if pursuing in the terms of that you're looking into it means that yes, the funding's there, right? For that program. And then, but if you've already enrolled in it, then I would definitely reach out to Nadia and connect with Nadia to make sure that it's still applicable to um ask for that funding. Um, if you've already, another question is, Nadia, if you've already paid for a professional development certificate, um, can you still be reimbursed back through the WIOA scholarship?
Unfortunately not, because one of the requirements for us to be able to reimburse is the course cannot have been taken or any money cannot have been spent prior to determining eligibility for job link services. So if you've already completed the program and you haven't enrolled and are not currently working with the job link counselor, then more than likely we cannot reimburse for that.
Okay, if they are registered, but the course hasn't started yet, what would the response be on that?
If they've already paid for the program and again, they have to have been enrolled and eligible for job link services prior to any money being spent. We can only cover any reimbursements after the date of established eligibility for job link services. So it doesn't mean that you can't qualify for the scholarship, because we could potentially help with support through the program. Even if you've already paid for the tuition, we could potentially help with like books or anything that might be required to complete the program. Even if it's not the full amount, we could help you as much as we can throughout the process. If you haven't paid for a part of the tuition, I would say hold off, meet with your counselor, let's get this ball rolling, and then we could potentially help once that date of eligibility has been determined. So I don't want to discourage you from working with job link services and potentially applying for the scholarship, because there's many other ways that you can utilize it, this resource, if tuition has already been paid for. So
Great.
yeah. Was that all the questions, Megan?
That was it.
Okay, so just to follow up on or piggyback on the programs for Sonoma State that are on the ETPL, as we mentioned prior to the screen, is that They need to be in demand occupations. And in order for any of these programs to be on our eligible training provider list or ETPL, we've already determined that they're an in demand occupation. So we know that this industry or this career goal or this certificate is potentially going to help you, well, would help you potentially qualify for the scholarship. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on here. So the expectations for the scholarship, I think this is a big one. They ask, a lot of people ask us, how long does this take? It's a long process. It really, really depends on you and your progress, your motivation, your actions, how long it's going to take, how long the process is going to take. There is an application. If your counselor gives you quote unquote homework and tells you, oh, you have to go do informational interviews, come back with a certain amount, you have to do some job searching, come back with some job leads, make sure you do your self-assessments and you come back with those. So it really depends on how active you are and proactive you are in terms of engagement and following through what the counselor is requesting of you in order to complete the application process. So that could take up to, depending on you, I would say give or take more or less about 6 weeks or so, depending on, again, how quickly you go through that process. And then it takes a little bit, a few weeks to be able to take the application and then for the counselor to submit it for review for approval or denial. And then we would let you know as soon as we get those results of the answer of whether or not you're going to qualify. So it really, honestly, really takes a lot of your kind of motivation to get it completed. All right, and so what you can expect while you're working with the counselor, our counselor is there as your coach, as your cheerleader, as your help. It's like, if you think about it, it's like any relationship, an 80-20 relationship, right? So the relationship, the 80% comes from you, the 20% comes from the counselor. That 20% is going to help you, motivate you and help you as much as they can for you to pursue your career goals. So we ask that you actively engage with your counselors, that you stay, on your appointments. You treat it very much like a professional relationship where you're checking in. If you can't make it, you reschedule, you cancel, you just keep engagement with your counselor. We ask that you're right on time and you be prepared. You be prepared with, if they say, can you bring me back some informational interviews? You come back with those when the next time you meet. So make sure that you complete your tasks, make sure that they're done on time and that there's regular communication for any reason. We really want to be there to support you and help you and coach you. And like I said, be your cheerleader to get through your career goals and to get through your training successfully so that at the end of it, you have, the success that you're reaching for, right? So that's basically, just keep in mind. And the more that you engage with your counselor, the better we can support you. I can tell you this, if there's a lack of engagement and it's hard to get in touch with you or hard to get you to meet on time or come to your appointments and such, there is a possibility that your case would be dropped and then the remaining of your scholarship would kind of just be kind of held. So that's also something to kind of keep in mind, that if this is it is one of the requirements to be able to obtain the service and keep getting that support. So engagement is important.
And then just one more question here. The question is, does FAFSA cover these certificates? Also, would we have to wait for next year's FAFSA to apply for the program?
No. So if if you get financial aid, I think for WIOA, policy is that we just make sure that you've explored all other options for other sources of income and support. And we are there to help in the back end, right? So if let's say you have financial aid and you qualified for it and it covers whatever your training portion, there may be an aspect that is a barrier that is holding you back. Like let's just say, for example, childcare, right? And you're applying for the WIOA scholarship, we could potentially come in and say, okay, so we're going to utilize this source of funding, this resource to help them with that, since they're getting their tuition and the other things taken care of. We can support them in this way to overcome that barrier to get to obtain and reach their goal. So we actually work with, closely with clients that are receiving multiple sources of funding from not just WIOA. So, is that
Yep.
okay?
Great. So, yeah, go ahead.
And that was it. Now we're at the questions. And here's our contact information. There's you can reach us at JobLink, or that's our phone number, and our email, our JobLink email. We are located in Santa Rosa. And I can put in the chat our address, so that if you decide to come into our office and utilize our resource room or any of the resources that you have available to you as you walk in, you're welcome to do that as well. And then we have Megan's or Sonoma State's information there too. So,
yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, so there's one question, and it says, do we need an appointment to come into the office, to come to the office?
So our one stop is open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30. Our computer lab is open, I believe, from 8:30 to 4, if I'm not mistaken. You do not need an appointment to walk in and talk to a navigator. You do not need an appointment to come in and utilize our computer lab. If you are wanting to attend an orientation or one of our workshops, then you will have to have an appointment to do that. But other than that, anybody is welcome to walk on into our doors and utilize our resource room and our basic services as soon as you come
in. Okay. Let's see.
I am going to stop sharing my screen so that I can put in the chat our address in case you decide to come into our office.
Yes, Samantha just loaded that into the
oh, thank you.
It's 2227 Capricorn Way, yes. Suite 100 in Santa Rosa. 227 Capricorn Way, Suite 100 in Santa Rosa. And yeah, so thanks everybody. We really appreciated all of you being here. Does anybody have any more questions to load into the Q&A? We're going to sit here for a second because sometimes, things bubble up. Mm-hmm. See. Oops. I'm gonna put the address into, someone asked to have it sent. I'm gonna answer it live, so everybody should be able to see the address. So again, it's 227 Capricorn Way, Suite 100. But thank you everybody so much for being here. We greatly appreciate it. Again, my name is Megan Metz, and you can email us at the pdcertificates@sonoma.edu. If you have any questions, I will follow up with all of you after this session. You probably got an email from me yesterday afternoon, so you do have my email. We did record this, so if you have anybody else, a friend that you feel that might also be interested, please share the word. But we hope to see you in the fall. Thank you, Nadia, and thank you, Sam, for being here.
They're off.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.